Tonight, we take you back to a place shrouded in darkness, a place once meant to be a sanctuary, but became a living nightmare. Pennhurst State School and Hospital opened its doors in 1908 with the promise of care and education for society's most vulnerable. Instead, it became a warehouse of neglect and cruelty. Children and adults with disabilities were crammed into overcrowded, filthy wards. Abuse was rampant, and the staff turned a blind eye, or even worse, participated. Patients were strapped to beds, over-medicated, and subjected to treatments that would make your skin crawl. Electroshock therapy, unsanitary conditions, and inhumane punishments were the norm. Tonight, we'll peel back the layers of history and horror to uncover the truth behind one of America's most notorious asylums. Welcome to Pennhurst.
Everybody, welcome back to the Cracking Cans podcast. Diving into Pennhurst Asylum. But first thing, Cracking Cans podcast, where we talk all things cryptid, all things urban legend, and all things spooky. I'm one half of the team here, Mike, joined here by Corey, and Corey is the presenter today.
Yeah, we're going to be going over Pennhurst Asylum today.
A lot of info.
Lots of info. But before we get into this, I do want to give a trigger warning out there because this topic is it could be pretty sensitive. There's a lot of just awful things we're going to talk about this place. But I felt like I had to include that stuff because I didn't want to give it a disservice because it deserves, the people that died there deserve for their story to be told.
Yeah, and really, I feel like Pennsylvania just tried to just eliminate this from history.
Yeah,
just
really.
So it never happened.
Yep.
But yeah, we're going to be here. Corey's going to tell the story. I think it's going to be a pretty serious episode as far as as serious as we can go.
Yeah.
I think.
Oh, yeah.
So, but yeah, I'm excited. And then we are also going to have, we're not sure, I guess, we don't know if it's going to be this episode or not. What are you thinking?
I'm thinking it's probably going to be a two-parter.
So on part 2, we're actually going to have a special guest.
Jenni Lynn.
Jenni Lynn, yeah. She works at Pennhurst as like a tour guide. She's a paranormal investigator. So she's going to have a whole lot of insight on the paranormal aspect of Pennhurst Asylum.
Yeah, so my goal for this episode is just to kind of set the stage for how, I guess, just how haunted or like the paranormal activity that could be happening at this place based off of the just awful history that we're going to go over today.
And my job this episode is going to be to drink Corey's beer. So yeah.
Yeah, and you can ask questions.
I can ask questions, yeah. And I will be respectful this episode. I'm going to show people nothing but respect.
Ooh, I don't know if you could do it.
I can do it.
Okay.
I was pretty nice to you the past, 2 episodes.
Yeah.
I mean, I got a couple in last episode, but...
Yeah, it's all right.
Yeah. So what beer we got?
Today, glad you asked. Today we got Trogs, another Trogs.
Trogs, Truags.
This is like our...
Tragos.
Fourth, I think, Trogs.
Yeah,
Fourth Trogs. And today we got Field Study.
Field Study.
And the reason I picked this one is because Pennhurst is one place that Mike and I want to go to be in the field and study this place to see what kind of paranormal activity they got going on.
That was a real Mike beer presentation right there.
Yeah, but you never would have picked
With the field.
You'd have picked like
With the study.
yeah, I don't know what you would have picked.
I don't know. I'd have picked like a Batman beer because the Arkham Asylum, and that's how I would have made the connection.
Oh yeah, that would have been good.
Yeah,
That would have been
all right.
creative. So this beer is a 6.2% summer IPA, and it says on there to serve in a tumbler. We
Yes.
don't have tumblers. We got glasses.
I'm just so glad that we have a nice summer IPA when it's like
Yeah.
12 degrees outside right now.
Yeah. And then on the bottle, it says, in the fields, we daydream and study, and at the brewery, we tinker and test. For Field Study IPA, dry hopping delivers notes of ripe grapefruit, mango, pear, and melon. And add a backbone of local rustic pale malt. And Field Study is just what we were after. A slightly hazy yet bright summer daydream come true, even though ours is a nightmare. So,
Yeah.
daydream, we're talking about nightmare.
Cheers.
Cheers. I didn't even take a sip yet.
I know.
This
Good for
ain't
you.
this ain't a sour.
Good on you.
What do you think?
It's weird.
It is weird.
Yeah, it's weird.
I think it's like that grapefruit.
Yeah, I think that's what it is. I remember having this before. My wife really liked it.
I never had this one.
Wasn't super crazy over it. It's good though. I mean, it's a good IPA if you really like that, like grapefruit
Punch in
punch first thing, right in your mouth, right in your butt, anywhere you can get grapefruit.
Yeah, anywhere it'll
Ears.
fit.
Yeah. But yeah, I think we have a lot of info. So should we?
We do. We have like 13 pages.
All right.
I mean, I'm not going to go over all of it in depth. Some of it I'm going to skip over. But if Crack Daddy over there has some questions,
Which I'm sure I will.
I got the info.
Mildly inappropriate questions coming your way. So let's get into the episode. All right, Corey, hit us with a little bit of history on Pennhurst.
So, history of Pennhurst. Or just take that out.
No way.
Um,
You know, anytime you say take it out, I always leave it
so
in.
I should tell you to leave it in.
Yeah, I will also leave it in.
Okay.
Mainly just because I don't like to have to deal with taking stuff out.
Fair enough.
If it makes me look good, I will, though.
Yeah. So before I dig into the history, I just want to say, like, overall with this topic, this information, like, I fell into a rabbit hole with this place and really started digging in and looking at a lot of different sources. What was I gonna say? Shit.
A good start.
I had to like give myself a little break for like, I don't know, 5-6 days, because I was just like, I was into it too deep that like I was starting to just like, not necessarily like Mike over there when he was looking up Zuzu and seeing shadows and stuff, but I was just kind of like feeling like kind of a pile of crap.
Yeah, he was seeing like schizophrenics walking around his house. It was just
Basically,
weird.
no, like I just kind of felt like a piece of crap just dealing with all this depressing stuff.
Yeah, I could see that. That would make sense.
So I had to just give it a couple days before I kind of finished it up. But anyway, so now, like present day today, it's known as Pennhurst Asylum, but that was something that it was never actually like called. It was never like the legal name of the place. It was changed to that in like the mid 2000s when a new company bought the place and turned it into kind of a tourist attraction. And I mean, we'll get into some of that maybe later on. Just when the new company bought this place, there was a lot of public backlash because they opened it up as a tourist attraction, as like a haunted attraction.
So it opened right up as a haunted attraction.
Yeah, like it closed in 1987, and then the property just sat there for, 20 years.
So were there people that would sneak onto the property to do paranormal investigations?
Yeah.
So that's how they knew it was haunted to begin with? Or was it haunted before it closed?
I think it was haunted before it closed.
Yeah. But I didn't know if it was like something that was like well known that it was haunted when it closed, or...
Yeah, I don't know. I didn't really dig too much into the paranormal stuff because I know we're doing that part 2. But
I always wonder how people just like discover haunted places.
Yeah, that's true.
I saw an episode of... Well, it's not Destination Fear. It's like Fear Project, their YouTube page. And they were on this like orphanage that basically this guy just randomly like walked through the one day. He was a paranormal investigator and he got like all kinds of crazy crap in this orphanage. So I thought that was really like That was
Yeah.
interesting in the way of it wasn't a place where you would necessarily go, but it turns out there's a lot of stuff happen there.
Yeah. But when this other like company, whatever, bought the property, made it into this haunted attraction, there was a lot of public backlash because they started running like a haunted house with like actors and stuff. But the way they set it up was like the way that it was run back in the day. So you had like the doctors and the staff who were, you know, torturing the patients and stuff.
Yeah,
and
just
like
pieces of shit, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So like everybody just thought it was like a huge slap in the face to like everybody that resided in Pennhurst, because you got to remember this place closed in '87. So like these people are still alive today.
So couldn't you say the same as like in our society today when they kind of make like I think of like the Dahmer documentary and stuff.
Yeah.
Where there's almost in a weird way where people like enjoy watching like Dahmer and not like you almost like glorify him in
Yeah.
a weird way instead of just like making these people out for like the pieces of shit
Yeah.
they are essentially.
Yeah. No, exactly. And I actually saw a lot about that with the Dahmer documentary when that
Yeah.
came out. Like a lot of people were like, "What the hell?" Like,
Yeah, you're like glorifying this like huge piece of crap that
Yeah.
used to just kill people and is just a total psychopath. This kind of you're doing the same thing at Pennhurst.
Yeah.
You're buying this place out to make money, and I'm sure none of this money is going towards victims that were at
Yeah.
Pennhurst or families of
yeah. But then I read that, and I don't know like today how like the tourist attraction haunted house runs, but I know then for a while after all that public backlash and stuff, they changed the topic and how the haunted house like presented itself, where they had like the patients and residents like overtaking like the doctors and stuff. So like they kind of based it then around that theme to kind of make it a little more better,
Yeah.
I guess.
Yeah, more better.
Yeah,
I guess.
yeah.
I think they have a Valentine's Day theme coming up here.
Oh, yeah, I saw
in
that.
February.
Yeah.
It's on their website.
Yeah. So, like I said, it was never known as Pennhurst Asylum. That happened way after it was closed. So when it opened in 1908, it was called the Eastern Pennsylvania Institution for the Feeble-Minded and the Epileptic.
Okay.
That's a mouthful.
Yeah, dude, that would suck if you're just a guy that has seizures and you gotta get stuck going here, though.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, and we'll get into some of that.
Yeah.
But and then it was renamed Pennhurst State School and Hospital in the 1920s. And it pretty much stayed that name until it closed. And like in the media and stuff, it was referred to like as Pennhurst Asylum because a lot of times during that time, as like all the stigma associated with asylums, like a lot of these places were then called like asylums just from the media and stuff, just to like let people know like what a piece of shit place they are.
Yeah.
Because when you hear asylum, like you think
there's nothing good.
no,
You don't
it's
think
like
anything good,
whoa.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So
Think of the Joker and Harley Quinn.
yeah,
Pretty much
exactly.
where my mind goes.
Exactly. So Pennhurst, and I'm just going to refer to it as Pennhurst Asylum because honestly, that's the easiest.
I would prefer if you use the original.
Yeah,
name
I'm not going to
the
say
entire
that every
time.
time. No, I'm just going to probably say Pennhurst to be honest.
Whoa.
So Pennhurst sits on a 1,400 acre piece of property in Spring City, PA, which is located about 35 miles west of Philly.
Dude, that's huge.
Yeah.
1,400?
Yeah.
So the Pennhurst buildings originally had that whole 1,400? Or is it just like they had the chunk that they were sitting on?
No, I think they had the whole.
Damn.
Yeah, there's like farm fields and stuff in there, and
Damn.
that we're gonna go over here. So, and due to its size and remote location, it had to operate much like a small town or city. So this meant that in addition to the residential buildings, medical facilities, administrative offices, Pennhurst also had its own power plant, as well as other infrastructure like water treatment facilities and even a farm to make its own like self-sustaining foods and everything to feed the residents there. So, I mean, it was acting as its own town.
It was
basically.
trying. Yeah.
Yeah. The creation of Pennhurst. So, back then in 1908 or even like the mid to late 1800s, there was a global trend that people with intellectual and developmental disabilities needed to be separated from society and cared for in specialized settings. So it's basically like, if somebody had a disability, they were different than, quote, a normal person that people viewed back then, like they needed to be out of society.
Just totally out of it.
Just
yeah.
out. Like they couldn't.
Like not even seen.
Yeah. Yeah. And even back then too, like that was the mindset of, I mean, like physicians, politicians, like pretty much everybody throughout our country and other countries as well.
Yeah.
Like they were viewed as like a threat to society. The mindset was that people with these disorders were criminals essentially, and that they needed to be sterilized to remove these mental health disorders from continuing and being passed down in the gene pool. It's pretty, and it's like I look at it because like that's only like 100 years ago.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Or even like when this place closed in the 80s, like there was still some hardcore stuff going on there. So like this is such a
you're less than 40 years out from when this place closed.
Like this is such a recent
yeah.
thing in our country and other countries that's like mind-boggling once you really dig into it.
Yeah, and I still think we're trying to. I always find it fascinating how I don't want to say behind medical science is, but you just think it was so much further along.
Yeah.
Like I think of that when it comes time to like birth a child, there's so many things they don't understand about a woman's body when they like make a child. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, they're still trying to figure it out, and it's like it's been happening for like a bajillion years.
Yeah.
And we're still trying to figure it out.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, it's nuts.
Yeah.
So Dr. Henry Herbert Goddard
Herb?
was a prominent advocate of the American eugenics movement, which argued that mentally and physically disabled persons were polluting the gene pool of the country. So he was one of like the leading proponents of removing people with disabilities from, the public. During the early 20th century, many states had laws in place that forced sterilization on those who were deemed mentally defective. So
Forced sterilization.
Yeah, so they were forcing like mentally ill.
At what age?
I think it could be any age.
Okay.
Yeah. There wasn't like any specifications. And then like over time the laws changed as far as sterilization goes, but even like I looked it up today, like even today it was like 30 or 31 states still have forced sterilization laws in place.
They're not they're not pushed or anything like that.
You mean as far as like
they're not
getting rid of them?
I mean, they're not pushed in the way of. Are they still sterilizing people today?
They are, but it's a lot. Like there's a lot more regulation when it comes to it. So, like for example, if somebody has like a guardianship, like if somebody is a guardian over another person who, isn't able to make decisions for themselves and stuff, then like this is one way today that you can force somebody to get sterilization is if the guardian of this person can, go to the physician, go to the judge and stuff and be able to make these decisions for this person and get sterilization to happen.
Okay.
So, and there's some other ways that it can happen too, but that was like one of the...
Is Pennsylvania one of these states?
I think it is, yeah. Within a few years, Pennhurst became overcrowded. And they also... So at first, they were just admitting patients with disabilities, epilepsy, but then they also started admitting immigrants, orphans, criminals, like just everybody.
We don't know where to put you, so we're sending you here.
Yeah. We don't know.
Why were they sending immigrants there?
I'm not sure. Yeah, I don't know. But they were just grouped into everybody else that was
didn't know where to put them.
Just getting sent there. Yeah. So I mean, you could imagine that for a place that was made for approximately 500 people.
Yeah, it got overrun quick.
It's going to get overcrowded quick. Yeah. And regardless of their age, and I thought this was interesting, and I think they might have referred to this in some of like the ghost shows, but like all the residents at Pennhurst were called children.
No matter
their age.
So this is whether maybe they are like unable to speak all the way up to somebody that just is epileptic. They're like they could be like 50 years old and be epileptic, and you're known as a child.
Mm-hmm.
Weird.
So that's like just really degrading, for one.
Yeah, well, I feel like it gives you that power trip if you work there too.
Yeah,
like you just always, I work with children.
Yeah,
they could be the same age or older than you, but to me, they are children, and I am above them.
Yeah, for sure. And I thought this was interesting too. So they used a classification system at Pennhurst when they admitted people to there was like a classification system. So, for example, when somebody first gets admitted into Pennhurst, there were different mental categories that they would be classified as. So it was either imbecile or insane. It was just those two, imbecile or insane.
So what would imbecile be?
Imbecile,
somebody that's just like really like low functioning mentally.
Yeah, so they have like moderate to severe ID or intellectual disability.
Okay.
Whereas insane have really severe conditions like schizophrenia, like severe depression, and some other like really like severe mental health disorders.
So they would be insane because they would be a threat to others, essentially.
Basically, yep. And then they were also assigned a physical category, so epileptic or healthy.
Oh, nice.
That was like their physical characteristic.
Cool. Yeah.
And then they had a dental. I saw there was a dental category too, so it was either...
Man, and I don't mean to get into this, but like the dental aspect of Pennhurst is disgusting. Yeah.
So the dental categories were good, poor, or treated.
So treated would be
like they recently got treated.
Okay.
I
that
think before.
That doesn't mean they were treated when they were there, or would that mean treated like?
It was like they were treated before they got in there. Like
okay.
They're like probably like receiving treatment. The regular.
I don't know if they went to the old Pennhurst dentist.
Yeah. Well, I think if you went in poor, if you went in with the category poor, you were going to see Mr. Dentist.
Yeah.
Pretty early on.
Or if you're a biter.
Oh yeah, if you're a biter, yeah definitely.
Yeah.
And then there was also, so I didn't really dig too much into this. I just wanted to at least like mention it. So like there was also another characteristic or classification where they would categorize people as idiot, imbecile, moron. It was like those three. Idiot, imbecile, moron.
I feel like I'm called all those things on a regular basis, though.
Yeah, I know.
So are these all three different categories?
Yeah. Idiot
Wow.
was.
Now I'm just gonna be super confused when everybody calls
I
me
know.
these things.
I know. Yeah, idiot was like the first one, imbecile, and then moron.
Yeah.
So like it would go on their IQ level. So like the
Okay.
lowest would be idiot, the middle would be imbecile, and then
What if you were like perfectly functioning?
I don't know.
Okay.
I didn't see anything. I think you get. Well, I think you
Yeah,
get
that's
one.
what you're getting something.
I think you're getting something. I don't know. So I don't know. I thought it was interesting though, just how they were categorized, like
crazy.
And now these terms are thrown around like just insults.
Well, yeah. Corey's an idiot.
And Mike's a moron.
Yeah, perfect.
So like I said, there's a lot of different ways people could be admitted here. So intellectual disabilities. I mean, I'm not going to go over all of them, but I just want people to know like the different ways that people, or the different reasons people were sent here. So like intellectual disabilities, epilepsy, physical disabilities or deformities, behavioral or psychological disorders, emotional or mental illness, children with learning disabilities, unwanted or undesirable individuals. So something I saw with that was like sometimes like women who had unmarried pregnancies were sent there.
Or women that don't listen.
Yeah.
Was this one of those places where, like, if your wife didn't listen, you could commit her there?
Ooh.
So that's how a lot of like the asylums and stuff like that are. You can just drive them, drop them off, and be like, "Listen, I got a broken one. And I need her in there to listen."
Yeah, I mean, you probably could state your case.
Yeah, it honestly doesn't seem like it would be that hard to get somebody in here.
No. And something I saw too was like they weren't allowed to like deny anybody.
Makes sense.
Either.
Yeah.
So
well, I'm sure they were getting some kind of assistance from the government.
Yeah, I think I mentioned that
stuff,
somewhere later on.
I'm sure there's something with that where you have to accept everybody, and I'm sure also by the more people you have in there, the more funding you get.
And so actually, why you brought that up, I just won't mention it later. I thought it was interesting that like counties in Pennsylvania, they would send people there because then the state paid 100% of it, of like them to be there.
Okay.
But if the county used like outpatient like therapy or like kept them in the community for like community-based therapy and stuff, the state only paid like 90 or 80 or 90%, and then the county had to pay the other 10-20%.
So they just ship people off there.
So they just
didn't
shipped
have
them
to
off
pay.
so that they didn't have to pay it and just wipe their hands.
Yeah, then you don't have to worry about
basically.
it or anything. You're done.
Yeah. So that was a big part of it too.
It's weird. You know, I mean, you're just trading humans for a little bit of cash.
Yeah. And I mean, that stuff's still happening today as far as, because like I worked with juvenile delinquents for 7-8 years.
Corey is a juvenile delinquent.
I am a big one, but we would get into that a lot with like different counties and stuff with their kids. Like they would send them here, but they wouldn't send them there, where they should be sent to this place, but they're not doing it because it would cost them more money.
Yeah.
So like that's something that still happens today to a degree.
The coin is king.
Yeah.
Or wait, are we talking about king yet?
No, not yet.
Okay, sorry.
Not yet. And then how did people get admitted at Pennhurst? Family decision, medical recommendation, court orders, social worker involvement, and they also had public admission days.
Oh, so it's like I could go there and it's like, something's going on. I need to get in here like a sec.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So like what I got for that is evaluation days or public admission days. It was where individuals were assessed by professionals for institutional admission. So like when I hear that, you know what I think of? I think of the movie Shrek, where like they bring all the fairy tales.
Oh yeah.
And it's like, here I got a talking donkey. And it's like,
so you could just like bring your neighbor. Like, I don't know. He eats a lot of raw chicken. He's just weird. Like his brain is just fried.
Yeah.
I'm also going to inherit his farm as soon as he's out of here. So
yeah. And so when this place first opened, they actually had like a good vision for how they wanted the place to run, and it wasn't all bad. Like the people that started this place were like actually good people. It seemed like.
Well, I mean, I think all the places start like that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And then it just turned to shit like real quick. So like the vision of Pennhurst was to be a model of care, offering a safe, structured environment where residents would be given medical care, education, and vocational training rather than being left to live in poor conditions at home or in the streets.
Yeah, I mean, of course,
So,
that
like,
sounds great.
That's their vision when they opened. And that's honestly like for the first couple years, like they were doing a good job.
Yeah. But then it's like you start seeing them dollar signs.
Yeah.
You know, you start seeing the dollar signs and you start I feel like places like this, man, they're like a cancer. You get like one or two crappy like people working in there and it's it's over.
Spreads.
It just spreads.
Mm-hmm.
It's just like a black mass and it's done.
Yeah. The primary goal was to segregate those with disabilities from the rest of society, preventing what were seen as the negative social consequences of their inclusion in the community. So poverty, crime, social disorder. And it was thought that these individuals could be trained in skills that would allow them to contribute to society in some way, such as through work programs or learning basic life skills.
Yeah, it makes sense.
So like I said, at first, it was good intentions, and then we're going to talk about a little bit about the facilities and then kind of how it went downhill. And then we'll talk about like the abuse and all that stuff. So
Goody. Can't wait. Sounds so fun.
So like I said, when it first opened, it was a nice sprawling campus, beautiful, clean buildings, extensive grounds. They had farm fields. They had people out working, learning different skills. Staff members were trained to help residents in different skills and providing them education. And the idea was that patients would have the opportunities for work, education, and some degree of independence. That didn't last long, folks.
No. Stuff like that costs money.
Yeah. So, like, they had training, vocational programs. They had choir, music, physical activities. Yeah, you've been going.
Oh, yeah.
Arts and crafts, education.
Corey makes his macaroni art.
Macaroni art.
Oh, yeah.
Finger painting.
Yeah.
Medical.
Is this finger paint supposed to be poop?
Yeah.
Because it is.
Medical care and hygiene. So that was some of like the things that they were trying to do with the residents there.
Sounds like a good plan.
It did.
Where did it all go sour?
So now we're going to talk about the dark turn, the overcrowding, the abuse, the neglect. So by the 1920s, the institution was already overcrowded, and this problem worsened through the following decades. So like I said, it was originally designed for 500 residents, and it quickly shot up to 1,000.
7,082.
No, not that much.
It could be. Could be.
I mean, it could be because their record keeping sucked butthole.
The record creeper, he creeping in the wrong holes.
Yeah, that's right.
That's right.
So 1908 is when this place opened, and for the first 7-8 years, they mixed both genders together, males and females.
There's no issues with that?
Oh, there's a lot of issues.
Yeah, I can
imagine.
Yeah. It's just like at nursing homes, man. Nursing homes have one of the highest STD rates ever. They just bang them. Old people just banging.
Dude, I've been in a lot of nursing homes, but
whoa,
that was because
this is weird.
Because I worked at the aging office. Okay,
no,
no, that's not why I was there, Mike.
Corey, they call Corey the STD
Yeah,
at most nursing homes.
No, it's not why I was there. So after the first couple years, they separated males and females and had women had their own wards just for the women because there was a lot of pregnancies happening.
From staff or from people there?
Could have been staff too,
Yeah.
I would say, because we'll get into some of that. And so when the overcrowding,
we'll get into some of that.
So when the overcrowded starting by the 1920s. It meant that staff had to care for far more individuals than they were equipped to handle. And the lack of space and resources made it difficult to provide adequate care for each resident, and many individuals were neglected both physically and emotionally.
Yeah, that sucks.
Because you have this many staff on, you're not getting any more staff, but you're getting more residents.
Of course. Well, that's like the world as we know it, though.
Oh, yeah, I know.
Yeah. We're not going to hire anybody else, but here's more responsibilities and here's more stuff that needs to be done.
Yeah. When I worked with the kids, I was the supervisor of this one program.
I thought you worked with old people.
Both.
Oh.
Two different jobs.
Weird.
2 different jobs, asshole.
Oh.
So, when I worked with the kids, it's reminding me of the staff situation. So I was the supervisor of this outpatient program for kids, so the kids would come after school and stuff. But we needed another staff to help us because all the caseworkers and myself had huge caseloads. And we needed another person to help us. And I remember going to my supervisor saying hey, we need another person because everybody is just getting, just destroyed right now, mentally.
Oh.
We need somebody else to help us. So
ain't no trauma.
Yeah, we need somebody. No, but her response was, we're not going to hire anybody else until we get more kids. Was her response. We need to get more kids
What's the number of the amount of kids we have to get until you hire more people?
So, we were already at, max, I think, kids that we could handle. And she's like, no, we're not getting another staff until we get more kids.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, okay, as staff are leaving. Okay.
Figure that logic
Sounds
out.
good. So, but anyway. And then as the population at Pennhurst grew, there was an increase in the number of untrained and unqualified staff members, because a lot of the good staff that they had originally were leaving.
Yeah. So, I mean, it makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
Put it in terms of I am a brewer since we're drinking beer here tonight, right? Yep. And I decide I want to go I want my beer to go from Maine to California. Well, obviously, the awesome ingredients that I was using to make my small batches of beer, they're a lot harder to come by. And on top of that, all of a sudden it's taking more and more people to help me. But I gotta bring anybody in I can because I just got to start pumping stuff out.
Yeah,
that's our episodes. They're going downhill from here because we just got to pump stuff out.
Yeah,
we are falling fast, people.
Where are we going with that the brewer thing?
It's the same thing. The ingredients get shittier.
Yeah. Quality of the beer.
The quality of the beer goes down. Everything goes down, all because you just decide you got to just take on more and more and more.
Yeah. And honestly, it wasn't necessarily all their fault. It was just the different state and federal regulations, rules at that time were just making them take all these people.
Yeah, well, I'm sure being right outside Philadelphia, a huge city, isn't going to help because it's not like we're say where we're at or a state hospital near us that we're in
bumfuck PA.
Yeah, I mean essentially we're out in the middle of nowhere, so there's not really any cities around us that are we're not going to get hammered like Philadelphia. I mean, Philadelphia's huge.
Oh yeah. Yeah, that's a good point. So, like, many of the staff they were getting had no background in this area. So they didn't know what they were doing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They had no freaking idea what they were doing or how to care for these people that needed this.
Well, I mean,
special-
let's be honest. Doctors at this time didn't know how to care for these people.
We're going to dig into
Nurse- yes.
Dr. Fear here soon.
Yeah, so you have like doctors that don't even have any clue what they're doing.
Yeah.
And then you're just trying to send a staff in there, like an untrained staff person to go deal with it.
Well,
Yeah.
even like
Good
you
luck.
have like these doctors are having that mindset that these people need to be separated.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like just having that mindset's like, what the,
Yeah.
like what the hell?
That's what I'm talking
Yeah.
about. Yeah, it's like
Yeah.
people back then had no clue what to do with
Yeah.
anything.
Exactly.
Do you think being like so they kind of had like an influx in the 20s? Do you think that was due to the Great Depression, post World War I? Why they had more of this like influx in there?
I would think so.
Like a lot of like PTSD from World War I, people that couldn't afford to live during the Great Depression, so
Yeah,
they
they
just
were
go to
homeless
an
and-
asylum.
Yeah, I think so. And I think they reached its peak in like the 50s or 60s. They got up to like 3,500 people. Or
And how
30s.
many people are they supposed to have? Like how many are they
So I
equipped
think
to have?
like okay, so when they first opened, it was 500.
Right, but they
then
expanded,
They
of
expanded,
course.
built some other buildings
Yeah.
and stuff, and I think they could handle up to like 2,000.
2,000, yeah. I thought
and-
fit like 1,500. I
Yeah.
heard on the show, but 2,000.
I think it was
yeah.
like 2,000, or like a little over 2,000, but like at their peak, they were at like 3,500.
But I mean, 2,000 still—that's a lot
That's
of
a lot of
people to like care for.
lot of
and
staff you need,
even if
too.
you have the
Yeah.
space for it, that is a ton of staff you need to take care of.
Because I know it's changed today, but even like the staff to patient ratio, like working with kids in the residential setting, the place I worked was 1 to 4, one
to
staff
4.
for every 4 kids.
Yeah.
But like the state's regulation with kids is I think it's 1 to 8 or 1 to 10.
yeah.
So like I'm assuming they didn't have any of that shit back then.
Well, and the age makes a difference too, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Like
Yeah.
Like from it has to be over 3 years old, I think, till it starts to be like I don't know. I think there's categories with it. I know I looked
As
up.
far as like the ratio, are you talking
yeah.
about? Or
Yeah.
oh yeah, because like I think with like the babies and infants and stuff, you need more.
Yeah, I think it's like 3 to 1
it's
somewhere in
something like
that.
that. Yeah. And they weren't following that here either.
Yeah, because there's definitely infants and stuff there.
Yeah, like I was reading, there's like some wards that had like 50, 60, infants, toddlers, infants in cribs.
You can't even keep up with the diapers. Like
Yeah.
if you start with the first one and start changing a diper,
Oh.
by the time you get to the end, you're already going to
Yeah,
be late on that
because we're
first
getting
one.
more shit.
Yeah,
It's just
you're
like
already late on
repeat.
that first one.
Yeah.
I feel like I've been changing diapers for half my life already.
Yeah, I'm going to be changing some more here soon.
Yeah, mine.
Yeah.
At the old people home, he's been changing diapers. Sniffer. Like, that's what they call him there.
Sniffer.
Corey the Sniffer. Here comes that guy that always wants to sniff our drawers.
All right, so we talked about overcrowding. We talked about the poor staff and training.
We
we're
did.
We're going
Yep.
to talk about the abuse and neglect. So over time, as Pennhurst became overcrowded and the quality of staff care deteriorated, Pennhurst became notorious for its inhumane conditions. Residents were subjected to physical abuse, emotional neglect, and often lived in squalid conditions.
What was that word? What?
Squalid.
Squalid. Wow.
Yeah.
It's like a $5 word.
$5 word. Physical abuse became rampant, with reports of staff using restraint techniques and physical punishments to control the residents. Which, if done right, you can use that, but the way they were doing it, where they were just tying people down so that they didn't have to deal with them.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It wasn't like a person who was, fighting, creating like, a high-risk situation for themselves or others. It was just like, we don't want to deal with, these 20 people today. We're just going to tie them down for our shift so we don't have to deal with them. Like,
Yeah. Well, yeah. And I feel like you could even go into a situation like you can look back on this and be like, well, if I was a staff member, I would never do this. But like you imagine the total overwhelm that would come over you when you're dealing with because it's not like it's not going to be like quiet there ever.
No.
You know what I mean? Because you're overcrowded as hell. You're dealing with a lot of like mentally handicapped people.
yeah.
You're dealing with a lot, so there's just a lot of noises and stuff going on. Yeah, I know how to. I do.
Yeah.
I want to tie my kids down some days.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I love them.
Yeah. And I love them.
I love them.
So, like I said, they were often tied to their beds. They're also confined to small, crowded rooms without adequate food or care. And the institution's medical care was inadequate. Many residents who had complex medical conditions were not given proper treatment or attention. Malnutrition was common, and many individuals were left without access to basic hygiene and personal care.
Gross.
Yeah, so like this...
Imagine that. I remember hearing, and you might go over this, so I don't want to interrupt, but I remember when they the reporters first went in there, like the cameraman just had to go outside and just immediately vomit.
Yeah.
Because the stench was so
so,
overwhelming.
Yep.
That's what my bedroom smells like when I wake up most mornings. Not for me though.
No.
It's me.
It's mostly from,
it's all me. It's not mostly me. It's all me.
All you.
Yeah, it's all me.
Yeah. I don't know if we'll talk about him later on. We're going to talk about Dr. Jesse Fear a little bit later on. But the one thing I wanted to say about
Is his last name actually Fear?
It's actually Fear.
Dude, you talk about a dude that was born to do this.
Yeah.
You imagine if like Hitler's name was like Adolf, like
Jew killer.
yeah, Adolf Bernya or something.
Yeah.
Like Fear.
Yeah.
He could. Poor sucker couldn't have been Dr. Feelgood.
Yeah.
Did you feel all right?
Yeah. No. Yeah. Dr. Jesse Fear. And this guy was an absolute just asshole. Like,
I remember
asshole.
seeing like interviews with this guy where like he will legitimately sit there and try and justify everything he did.
Yeah.
Like after people like told him how heinous it was.
Yeah.
And he like he still tried to justify
Yeah.
why he tied these people down and why he did this stuff to them. Like
Yeah.
he was doing it all for the greater good of the world.
Yeah.
And it's like, you, my friend, are a piece of shit.
Yes, yeah. We're going to get into him in like probably 2 minutes. But I wanted to say, before we get into him, I just want to say about like the estimated deaths at this place. Deaths.
Yeah, deaths.
Deaths with a TH.
Yeah, just a little bit deaths.
So there is no exact official figure available for the total number of deaths at Pennhurst.
Well, I can imagine through that amount of time with that amount of and how many of these people just got dumped off here and like their
probably
family
had
just
no-
never came to ever visit.
And they probably had no records to begin with. Like, if their families were pieces of shit, they didn't probably have any record documentation of this
Can you
person to begin
imagine,
with.
like, imagine how big of a piece of shit you are to just drop your kid off at a place like this, and just in your mind, I guess you find it totally justifiable.
Yeah.
Like because you went into this place to drop them. It's not like you dropped them off at the door. Like you walked in here and you smelled just the ammonia and shit smell just
Probably
emanating
stepped
through
in a
this whole
couple
building.
piles of it while you were walking
Whole
through.
building, you smelled it and you
Yeah.
knew it, and you just felt like, yeah, this is where my kid deserves to be.
Yeah.
Garbage.
Yeah, it shows
man.
a lot about you.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, like I said, like, there's no exact... And the reason there really isn't an exact number, too, is because, like, the record keeping at this place was just, like, ridiculous.
Well, you think they would have kept the records just good enough to get their money?
Yeah.
Which I'm sure they probably did.
Yeah.
And maybe that's why a lot of the deaths weren't recorded, because they could still, like, record that, like Corey's still alive, even though you died, like, 2 years ago, because you can just keep collecting from him.
Yeah,
You know
that's
what I mean?
true. Happens a lot in elections.
Yeah.
But,
No comment.
yeah. But something, too, I wanted to mention is, like, there were quite a few people who were born in this place, lived in this place their entire life, and died in this place.
Dude, could you imagine?
Like, that's all they knew was fucking Pennhurst.
I mean, I can think of, like, maybe through the course of history, a couple things that are worse than that, but it's not many.
Yeah. So, I, like, just... trying to imagine that, like, you're born there, you grow up there.
That's all you ever
live,
know.
That's all,
like,
that's
you
it.
think that's what the world is.
Yeah.
Like, you think that's normal.
Yeah. Which is awful.
That's crazy.
Yeah. And there are some indications that a significant percentage of deaths were due to treatable illnesses and preventable causes. So, for example, it was reported that many infants and children with intellectual disabilities who were admitted in the early years died from malnutrition and infections. So, like, there were a lot of deaths that happened that shouldn't have happened. They were just basic, sicknesses or diseases or whatever that could have been cured, and they would have been fine. But due to, like, the neglect and everything going on, they weren't treated, and then they just died.
Yeah, that's
You know what I
crazy.
mean? Yeah.
Yeah, because it's not like they know how to like help themselves.
Yeah.
You know, they're not going to like tell the doctors that something's wrong. They're not going to be able to just sit there and it's disgusting.
And like there were a lot of people who stopped talking while they were there. Like, you know, people, they already had like developmental like disabilities and all that, and like they were slowly making progress, and then like due to just all the chaos and all the shit they had to put up with, there just like went mute, just stopped talking at all.
Yeah, I mean, there's probably people that are beat there for talking and yelling and stuff. You know what I mean? Like, okay, if I make a noise, I might get strapped down to this bed, or I can just be quiet for the rest of my life and maybe be able to walk around a little bit.
Yeah.
Like Michael Myers. Just mute, man. Mute.
Yeah, dude's badass.
Yeah.
I wouldn't mess with him.
He ain't wearing no diaper. Well, maybe he is.
He's older now.
He has a lot of time to stand around and stalk people. And I feel like with as much time as he stands around and just watches people, he probably shits his pants.
Does he eat, though?
Yeah, he does. If you finish the wonderful movie Halloween Ends, you'll figure out that he eats rats.
Okay.
And Halloween, what is it? Halloween Resurrection, he eats rats and stuff and lives off like whatever he catches when he's living underneath the house.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice.
Halloween Ends. You guys should all really watch that movie. It is a cinematic masterpiece. Don't go back on any of our old episodes.
Yeah. Start with this one and move forward.
Yep. If they do, and I hope they watch it, and then I hope they jump onto like one of the old ones and just hear me just rant and rave about what a piece of
raising
crap
hell.
movie that is. Just what a piece of crap movie that is. The first time I ever said the F word on this cast was to describe that piece of crap movie.
Yeah, you did. That was great. That's when I learned how much you dislike it.
And then your reaction was to like watch it like 2 nights later.
I just had to see if you were right.
Hey, you still haven't finished it, have you?
Because you were right.
Oh
yeah, you're right. You're right.
Man, I was so mad. I still get mad about that. If you check, like, we're talking about it right now. If you check my blood pressure right now, it's going to be raised. That's how mad I get about that movie. All right.
So when I want to piss you off, I'm just going to like bring up that movie.
Just be like, hey, Mike, do you think that the storyline of the like love in Halloween Ends was a really good way to cap off a wonderful trilogy? And I'll just freaking go off and start just like, I'll just boot a baby 6 rows deep into the stands. You know what I mean?
Snitsky.
Yeah, Snitsky style. That's right. That's right.
All right. So we're going to be getting into the media now. So in 1968, Bill Baldini. That's his name. What do you
Dude, there is like 100% chance that this dude just looks like a giant testicle. I feel like Baldini.
Well,
wait, is he like a magician where he like
Houdini,
and his balls go up in him? Yeah, Baldini.
Makes him disappear. So in 1968, Bill Baldini made a 5-part expose.
That was in the 60s?
68. Which I watched. I didn't watch the whole thing. It's like an hour long. I watched the first half of it.
So this place didn't close down after he made this documentary?
No, it took, 20 years.
That's ridiculous.
I know, that's what I thought,
I always thought this documentary came out like,
no.
That's what closed this place down.
Fuck, 20 years. 20 years after this.
Gosh almighty.
19 if you want to be exact.
Yeah, either way, way too long.
Yeah, same thing I thought too.
And this was the one I was talking about where when the cameraman went in, he just like he walked in for like 2 minutes and turned around and left and just had to vomit because the stench was just so overwhelming.
Yeah. So he revealed an overcrowded, abusive, and neglect-filled environment for the mentally disabled children and adults who lived at Pennhurst near Spring City.
Not meaning to interrupt you,
Pennsylvania.
But do you get into like why he decided to do this documentary or no?
No.
Okay, I was just curious as to what, like, if it was like staff tipped him off as what was going on, or this was just always something that he was passionate about.
I forget. I think he like was just into like just this topic like in the United States at this time.
Okay,
and I think he looked into another place as well, another like asylum type place. I forget what exactly got him here.
I remember watching, man, it was a documentary a long time ago, and it was about the one. Was it the Cropsey documentary? But basically, it was like this Asylum up in New York or Connecticut or something. Like, same thing, it closed, and a lot of these people just kind of got left behind. But yeah, this dude ended up like murdering like Down syndrome children, I think, because he was just like, he was like a little bit crazy, and it was, I don't know, in his mind he thought he was doing something like good for society, but I don't think he was ever convicted of it or anything, because he never admitted to it. But they said he would go into like a trance state when he would start like talk, like when they would really get him like almost on the verge. The one day when they almost got him to break, they said he like started like drooling. It was like demonic in a way, you know what I mean? Like there was a demon in that dude that was like almost coming out, you know.
Huh. Interesting.
It's a really good documentary as far as like to kind of talk about something like this, but not where it's super graphic. And
yeah, and I didn't really put too much on here about the documentary, but like, I mean, it's this documentary shows a lot. Like
I think they've showed clips on it on just like the ghost hunting type shows.
It's a graphic documentary.
Like there's like 2 or 3 clips you see of like these full grown adults that are in cribs that they can't even like crawl or anything. I just remember the quote that I heard where it was like, why aren't these people walking? And it's like, well, these people never learned how to crawl. Like they've lived in these cribs their entire life.
Yeah.
They can't, like, you have to learn to crawl before you can walk. Like they never did any of it.
Yeah.
Which is just sickening.
And you could see them like tied to the cribs and stuff. And like you could see people like bruises on their legs and like
and just like full straight jackets in a crib, you know, which is just,
it's awful to see. And it's like you said, like my thoughts too, like it took 20 years after seeing this, like it took 20 years for this place.
It's like, it's utterly insane.
Yeah. Like that blows my mind.
Yeah. Cropsey is the name of that.
Cropsey.
Yeah. This is a good picture. Like the guy that's like him, like with drooling in this weird state.
He looks like he ate a couple people too.
You're freaking right. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Children. No big deal.
Yeah.
Don't judge him for that.
Yeah, you like them.
Yeah.
And marbling.
I never had them.
Well, you wish you could eat some marbling children.
Marbling children. I don't like when they eat marbles.
Yeah, they're a little hard to digest.
They hurt my
for
belly.
you as well.
Yeah, they hurt my belly then.
Yeah. But I do want to dig into now Dr. Jesse G. Fear.
Dude, I can't wait to hear about this giant piece of shit.
So
shit, man.
Oh, he is like I.
Oh yeah, I know. Like I feel like by calling somebody something like that, like you're almost like you're letting him off.
Oh yeah,
you know what I mean.
Like you're not even doing the
justice. A piece of crap.
And like he did. When you watch this documentary, when he's being questioned about the practices that he did there and the just everything he did right to these patients,
he's so arrogant.
This
man.
he's like smirking and stuff,
yeah,
and
dude,
he's
so arrogant, man. The devil had so much fun with him when he went straight to hell.
Yeah,
he's dead now, right?
I
guess so, because this was like the '60s.
Yeah, yeah. And I think he ended up getting fired from there too.
Oh, really?
Or something. Yeah.
Well, I can't imagine why.
So
I just went and practiced at another one.
You're probably right. Yeah.
Under a different
probably
name.
Just on call then, because he's a little older now, so like just as needed.
Yeah.
So he explains that like him and other staff there punished residents who acted out by downgrading them a little bit is what he said. So like he minimizes it. Like we downgraded them just a little bit.
What do you mean downgraded them?
Like just made them
like just talk shit to them?
Like just made them like feel like worthless piece of shit.
So just like talk down to them. Just like
yeah. So he claimed like the punishment. So like downgrading them would offend their dignity as they were locked in a residence with residents. So he would how did he say it? Like he would lock like more I don't want to say it. People with like less severe mental like illnesses, like people who were more stable and not as severe, right? He would lock them in with more severe people for like periods of time just to
knock them down.
Yeah,
to make them think like this is what we think of you.
Yeah. So
because these people are like, you're in this situation, so no matter what, you get in this situation, over time you start to think like, well, I deserve to be here. So then by putting you with people that are just so much more below you, this is who I am.
Yeah.
Crazy.
And then like also he would think I saw he would like set up other groups of residents to like bully other residents.
Yeah, like, and I'm sure it didn't cost, like, I'm sure it wasn't like much to get these people to do it. You know, like they'll give you like a candy bar.
Yeah.
Did you think of like how crappy the conditions are? Like a candy bar would be like gold to somebody in these conditions.
Exactly. So like
I'll make sure your ass gets changed this week. You know.
Yeah.
That's, it wouldn't take anything to manipulate these people into doing what he wants.
You know, because they're not only that too, like you're dealing with, the mentally disabled people. So he's taking advantage of them,
right? And they're like a lot of people like that are super eager to please to begin with.
Yeah. So this asshole is just like awful.
Yeah.
Like, and he said that. So he quote, "What we're trying to do is degrade him or like the residents to a certain extent amongst his fellows here. They make fun of him then for a while afterwards. But I don't think there is anything inhumane about it or anything, if that's the word." So like this dude just had
like he doesn't even have the time to like really describe what he's doing. Like that's how like arrogant.
Yeah. And like I said, when you watch this documentary and like you hear him talk and
you just
see
want to
him,
punch
like
that dude right in the freaking mouth.
Oh, absolutely! Like he just his smirks and like remarks and stuff that he makes. I'm like, whoa.
Like he's the type that like I'd wear a pair of gloves, like when I punched him.
Yeah. Just
so like when the gloves wore out, like I could take them off and still have my knuckles left,
to
like
punch
to
him.
just keep going. You know.
Like I won't piss on many people's graves.
Yeah.
But I think I would probably shit on his.
Yeah, I mean that dude's. I mean he's down in hell getting what he had coming to him, you know. So
yeah,
but yeah.
And then Dr. Fear recounts another time when he wanted to punish resident Ernie for allegedly giving another resident a large welt on the back of his head. Dr. Fear threatened the resident by saying, "You touch one of my boys again, and I personally am going to take care of you myself." When Ernie told him not to touch him, Dr. Fear responded, "Well, before this day is out, you're going to find out what I can do to you." And then while trying to figure out a punishment for Ernie, Dr. Fear asked one of his staff members for the most painful injection they had that would not cause damage, like not cause permanent damage. And then Dr. Fear later injected Ernie and claimed he really hit the ceiling over that.
Jeez.
So like this dude was just injecting people was like the most painful stuff that he could do to not permanently like damage these people.
He's just total sociopath.
Yeah.
Like just like what a piece of garbage.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like I said, I feel like there's no words to describe somebody like this and what they did to human beings.
And I didn't really look into this too much, but I saw some stuff where like they were doing like experiments there too.
Yeah, I read some of that. Yeah,
yeah, on humans doing different experiments and stuff too. So, and I didn't really. Have you ever saw the American Horror Story, the one on the Asylum?
Asylum, yeah.
Because I think that was about like Pennhurst.
Was it?
Because I'm pretty sure like it was a long time ago when I saw that, but I think. Didn't in the American Horror Story Asylum, didn't they, like, wasn't it something with the media that, like, brought attention to the place and everything that was going on there?
I thought it was that the one girl got out. So it brought the attention there. Eventually,
I remember she got out, but, like, didn't somehow something, like, with the media spread or something and they, like, everybody found out really what was happening? I don't know. It was, like I said, it was a long time ago when I saw it, but.
Yeah, it was a long time ago, but.
What I think somehow, like, Pennhurst was, like. They use
and I feel like there's so many of these places.
Yeah, like I was gonna say there's so many places, but that this shit was going on.
All right, so with everything going on there, like is there any big court cases that led to the close?
Yeah, so the way I look at it is this Suffer the Little Children documentary in 1968, which again, I still can't believe how long it took.
5, but dude, I really thought this documentary like closed this place down.
No, it like introduced everybody to it, but it should have closed it down for sure.
Yeah,
but I think, at least in my opinion, I think then that like the media, as far as this documentary, I think that then opened people's eyes, and then it led to a pretty prominent court case. Halderman versus Pennhurst State School and Hospital, which was a case that was filed in 1974 by Terry Lee Halderman, who was a resident of Pennhurst. And
Terry with a Y or Terry with an I?
Terry with an I.
Terry with a, so female Terry.
It was a female Terry.
Okay,
yeah.
cool.
And I think, I didn't put it in here, but it was something like, I don't know, her parents came up to see her and like noticed like just all like, you know, the different abuse, like marks, like bruises and like different things on her. And like somehow then it spun up to like, you know, a case, court case. So in 1977, the case that was made in so the case was filed in 1974, and then three years later in 1977, the case went to trial. And I'm gonna go over it and stuff, but then in 1981, so like even after this, like it blows my mind too. Like with this case, like it was filed in 1974, went to trial in 1977, and then in 1981. It reached like the pivotal ruling with the court concluding that Pennhurst State School violated constitutional rights of its residents.
Insane.
But then it still took 6 years after that for the son of a bitch to close.
6 years to close. Yeah, it's
like,
insane.
In 1981, like you rule like, you know, these residents, these people here, their rights are being, you know.
Right. This isn't the only person that's having these issues.
No, and in this... because I read the whole case. I went through the whole case notes and stuff, and I'm gonna go over like three I have in here, 3 different residents of Pennhurst, and it's like they're different plaintiffs in the case.
All right, let's hear it.
Yeah, well, not yet. We're gonna get to it.
Not yet.
Not yet.
Slow down.
Slow your roll.
Slow down.
God damn it.
Goodness
Holy
gracious.
shit.
My goodness.
Man.
Always trying to rush me.
You're trying to rush me.
And Corey's always trying to rush me.
All right. So the main rights that were violated were the 8th and 14th Amendments, which we'll go over what they are exactly. The case not only exposed the inhumane conditions at the institution, but also set a precedent for the rights of individuals with disabilities to live in less restrictive community-based environments. So this case, which I'll go over at the end, set up like more of a like modern, I guess.
In the state of Pennsylvania or nationwide?
Like, nationwide.
Okay.
Like this was a big case.
Okay.
So this kind of helped close a lot of these places who were treating these people the way they were, and allowed people with these disabilities to live in like less restrictive environments. So, you know, back in the community. And attending community-based, like...
Yeah, I mean, by the 70s and 80s, this is different. You know what I mean? Like, well, what we know about people is different than what it was back in the 30s when they made these places in 40s.
Yeah. All right, I'm just going to throw a little quiz over to you, because I just want to.
I suck at quizzes. This is a pop quiz, too, so this is really bullshit.
It is a pop quiz. You have no idea. You have no idea.
Clue.
So, like I said, it violated 2 different, at least that I have here, it might have been more, 2 different amendments, 2 different constitutional rights.
True. Did I get it right?
No. True. Do you remember from school what the 8th Amendment was?
The 8th Amendment. Give me a hint.
Comes after 7.
That is not a hint. Like, I need, like, some kind of hint what the 8th Amendment was.
Okay. It might give it away, but, like, how you treat others. Maybe. That might... that's a hint.
I have no clue.
Okay.
Yeah, I have no
cruel and unusual punishment.
Okay. So that's the 8th Amendment.
8th Amendment. So, cruel and unusual punishment. So, a key finding in this case was the violation of the 8th Amendment, which protects individuals from cruel and unusual punishment. The court found that the conditions at Pennhurst were so degrading that they amounted to inhumane treatment.
Just by being there, it was
absolutely.
inhumane treatment.
And with this court case too, like they had people go to Pennhurst to see what it was like there. You know what I mean? So like there was people going there to look at this place to, you know, kind of like investigate to see if these claims are true.
Where do you start? When you, your job is to go investigate a place like this, where do you start? Honestly, the front door, dummy.
That's what I was.
That was my question, and you failed.
No, I was gonna say
it.
No, you son of a bitch. I was gonna
True.
say that, but I was like, I'm
True.
not gonna say that.
True.
You start after that. What's next then?
You go to the next door, and then the bathroom.
Yeah,
Because you probably got to vomit
to throw up.
in there.
Yeah. So some of the shocking abuses included seclusion rooms.
So this would be like
This was like stuff that like they found.
Well, I'm saying
and,
like the seclusion room would just be isolation.
Oh, I'm gonna go over it, buddy.
Oh, okay.
Don't you worry, cracked dick.
Don't you buddy me, you son of a bitch. Don't you buddy me.
I will buddy you
The hell you will.
all night long.
The hell you will.
Oh, that was weird. I'll buddy you. I'm just not gonna. I would stop buddying you.
You just start reading.
Okay.
Less buddy, start reading.
So seclusion rooms were being used to punish residents, whereas they were only supposed to be used in medical emergencies.
Okay.
So again, they were using these seclusion rooms, which were typically small, often no more than a few square feet in size, that had a concrete floor, concrete or blocked walls, no windows. Sometimes there was like a small window like at the top of the wall, but oftentimes it was blocked. It was covered. So like you're talking about pretty much a black, like dark room.
They just throw one person in there by themselves.
Yeah.
So it's like solitary confinement.
Basically,
almost.
yeah. So
they ruled that to be.
Well, I'll tell you
unusual.
why here. So
Okay.
the rooms were completely bare, no bed, chairs, nothing. There was a situation that they found during this during like the investigation for like this this court case, that an 18-year-old spent 6 days in a seclusion room for attacking a resident with Down syndrome. So like obviously there should be some type of punishment for that.
I mean, maybe, but you're. I don't know. It depends on
maybe not punishment, but like consequence.
Right.
I guess is what I should have said.
But you don't know. You might. You're dealing with somebody that's not altogether upstairs. Probably.
Right.
You know how it is when you're trying to discipline. Like.
Oh yeah.
I feel like comparing it to like a 2 or 3 year old. Like you know how it is when you're trying to discipline them.
Yeah.
At time. You can give them all kinds of punishments.
Yeah.
They don't want to have any consequence.
Yeah. So like I said, there's nothing in the room, so it's just a bare room, just cold floor, cold walls, nothing else in there. And this 18-year-old was in there for 6 days.
6 days.
6 days. And for many, it caused psychological harm, including
Oh, really?
including feelings of abandonment, depression, anxiety, trauma. Seclusion rooms also caused other medical issues such as vision problems. Because I mean, if you're in the dark for 6 days,
you're already dealing with people that have such huge abandonment issues.
Yeah. And you're just amplifying.
It's like somebody that's just afraid of the dark, and you lock them in a closet. You're dealing with somebody that already has abandonment issues, so you just abandon them for 5-6 days in a row.
Exactly. So like you could imagine just the trauma and the other harm you're creating for these people. The other one was physical restraints, which we already talked about. So like I said, they were being used on residents to make up for short staffing. So instead of utilizing restraints when a resident is creating an unsafe environment for him or herself, they were just tying people up so they didn't have to deal with them.
Yeah, cool.
Psychotropic drugs. So at Pennhurst, psychotropic drugs are often used for control and not for treatment. And the rate of drug use on some of the units is like extremely high compared to like other type of institutions. Like Pennhurst, like their numbers were like through the roof as far as the numbers they were pumping into people and like the doses they were pumping into people.
That's like their go-to is just pump.
Yeah, just so that these
sedate everybody.
So they're just walking around like zombies. Yeah.
Gross.
So psychotropic drugs are medications that affect a person's mind, mood, behavior, or mental processes. These drugs are used primarily to manage mental health disorders such as depression, anxiety, schizophrenia, bipolar disorder, and other conditions that involve changes in mood, perception, or thought processes. They found that the residents on these drugs weren't being properly monitored, and not being properly monitored on these drugs can lead to like other severe medical problems. if you don't have a psychologist or whoever, doctor monitoring these drugs, like you don't know what else it's doing to your body.
Right.
So they're just pumping these into people and not following up.
Yeah. Yeah, you're not. Yeah. They're just like, it seemed to work with this guy. I didn't hear from him today, so I just hit him again the next day.
Yeah. These drugs could cause a person to be lethargic, which excessively tired. Other hazardous side effects of these drugs include hypersensitivity to sunlight, ataxia, which is the inability.
That's when you just always call for taxis all the time, no matter where you are. Taxi!
Or you always pay your taxes.
Well, I don't do that then.
Yeah. Ooh.
Let's see you catch me, IRS.
Yeah.
And your 38 letters you sent me in the mail.
So ataxia is the inability to maintain balance and gait. And gingival hyperplasia.
I think it's pronounced gingivitis. It's when you don't brush your teeth enough.
It's something that has to do with the gums.
See?
Gum tissue condition
told
marked
ya!
by inflammation.
I am a dentist.
And then obviously we already talked about this, but staff abuse, which I'm going to go into some of the staff abuse that happened there. So so the staff abuse right here, this came from this court case, the staff abuse that they found. So this is just what they found from this court case in the year 1976. So like what I'm going to go over here is just from 1976.
Just from this court case. Nothing leading up to it or anything.
No, it's just like this court case found in 1976.
Yeah.
These examples of abuse by
All
staff.
right, let's hear it.
So like you could just imagine, once I go over this, you can just imagine what the other 68 years looked like.
It was all butterflies and rainbows before this.
Yeah. So one staff member raped a resident.
I bet you it wasn't one. I mean, just going through the years and years of
Oh, yeah,
stuff,
this is just 1976,
right,
though. But I can imagine, like, especially the underground tunnels
Yeah.
in this place.
Yeah.
Because I didn't mention that. I mean, we'll talk about it in the paranormal part of this episode, but, like, there was underground tunnels connecting these places so that they can transport residents from place to place. Kind of like Disney World.
Kind of like Disney World, except they tie you up and they do stuff to you.
I mean, they do that in Disney World, too.
I wouldn't know.
I want to do Disney World on a topic, though, because that place is pretty messed up as well. We're going to dig into some of that eventually.
Right.
But anyway, boom. Another resident was badly bruised when a staff member hit him with a set of keys. A third resident was thrown across a room by a staff member. Another staff member struck a resident with a shackle belt, which is a brutal form of punishment. I mean, I don't know what a shackle belt looks like, but
I imagine it's the belts that they like wrap around their arms to be able to like shackle them down.
Yeah, so they're pretty.
So you can imagine just swinging that,
and smacking
a sock
somebody.
full of quarters, man.
Yeah, yeah. So they were just some of the big ones that they found just in 1976.
Yeah.
Which obviously, rape is one of the worst things that could probably happen to anybody.
For sure.
Especially from a staff member who is supposed to be protecting these people and treating these people and watching over these people, and you're taking advantage of these people that have these intellectual disabilities.
Yeah.
It's just awful.
Remember when that lady, slightly off topic, remember when that lady that was like in like medical induced coma got pregnant?
Yeah.
That was crazy. And then there's
when was that?
It was maybe in the last like 4 or 5 years, I would say.
Yeah.
I think she was Native American.
Well, that was a legit thing, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I thought so. In each of those cases of staff abuse, the staff members were investigated, and many were suspended or terminated. So not all of them got terminated. Some of them were just suspended.
Yeah. Well, I'm sure probably just... old Mr. Rapey was just suspended.
Yeah.
Shackle Swinger, he was definitely terminated, though.
Probably.
Yeah.
Like the NFL.
Yeah.
You smoke a blunt, you're suspended for, a season, but
he probably hit Patrick Mahomes, though.
You beat your wife, like, you get 2 games.
Yeah.
Right?
Don't tell Ray Rice that. That dude's never seen the field since.
Yeah. However, these examples underscore the broader culture of abuse at Pennhurst, creating an unsafe and harmful environment for residents.
Boom.
So the next amendment, 14th Amendment.
14th.
Do you know what the 14th Amendment is?
The 14th. Give me.
It's the due process and equal protection.
Let me think.
No, that's what it is. That's what it is. That wasn't a hint. That was just
True.
Yeah, true.
No, false. False.
No, it's true.
Ah, damn it.
True.
Truth.
So in addition to the eighth, I almost said 18th.
It's eighth. It's a whiff of eighth.
So in addition to the 8th Amendment violations, the court also found that the 14th Amendment protections of due process and equal protection were violated. So the residents of Pennhurst were deprived of their right to receive appropriate care, treatment, habilitation, unjustly confined in an institution that failed to meet their needs or provide them with any reasonable opportunity to live outside the institution. The court emphasized that institutionalization was only justifiable if there were no reasonable community-based alternatives available. So the court's saying that these places like Pennhurst, for example, like this court case, obviously they're referring to just Pennhurst, but they're saying that being stuck in a place like Pennhurst should only happen when there's no other options.
Okay.
Like that's last resort.
Makes
is
sense.
being stuck in a place like Pennhurst, which is what Pennhurst was not doing. Like they're just
Yeah, I don't even think it should be where you go as your last stop either. That place sucks.
Yeah.
It sucks.
For sure. And then something, okay, so this is interesting. So at Pennhurst, medical staff only worked weekdays, Monday through Friday. So leaving residents without access to necessary medications, medical care on weekends. So weekends there was nobody.
Oh yeah, that's for the party, man. I'm gonna go party on the weekends if I'm a medical person.
I guess. Like there was nobody on call. Like there was.
I don't want to be stuck in Pennhurst. That place stinks.
Yeah,
smells like poop.
There was nothing as far as medical personnel goes. So like you got your floor staff, guards. I think they called them guards at the time. Were left to manage the facility. Additionally, there was also no psychological support or routine housekeeping during evenings and weekends, resulting in residents being without crisis care and common areas left unsanitary, with urine and feces often on the floors. Yeah. So like this place only it only ran Monday through Friday, and it was like your daytime hours.
Yeah.
So even like the evening, like no medical, no psych.
Yeah, I'll take care of that in the morning or Monday morning. No big deal. Yeah.
So these people weren't getting their medications on weekends.
Yeah.
They were getting their medications Monday through Friday. Weekends come, they weren't getting any type of medical care.
Make it work.
Yeah. And then at Pennhurst, due to staff shortages, many residents are not referred. Okay. At Pennhurst, due to staff shortages, many residents are not referred to necessary programs, leading to a long waiting list for services. So, for example, as of April 1977, 511 residents were on the occupational therapy waiting list, and while 75 to 100 residents required specially adapted wheelchair. So, all right, I'm just going to break this down. There were a lot of people that needed special care, special programs to help them, and there was like a small percentage of these people that were getting those programs and care that they needed.
Between wheelchairs, occupational therapy, rehab, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then the lack of adapted wheelchairs can result in serious health issues such as loss of vital function, severe muscular contractions. Additionally, although over 300, so I thought this was it. So 300 residents have hearing impairments, while only 51 had hearing aids.
So you would just share.
Yeah. Basically.
Like you'd get a left, I'd get a right.
Yeah, basically. I mean, that would have been better than what they were.
Yeah, I'm sure it's better than what they were doing.
Yeah, that would have been better than what they were doing. So, like, you know, they had all these waiting lists for people, and only like
It's like 400 people needed glasses, and they had 7 monocles.
yeah, basically,
Yeah.
like it was just like, what the hell, like,
Yeah, the Monopoly man was running rich.
yeah. And then also, like, most patients there did not have an exit plan on where they would live outside of Pennhurst, the support they need, etc. So, like, you know, people in these institutions need to have plans. Like, okay, these are your goals. This is what you're going to work on. You know, once you reach this, this, and this, you know, maybe you could go back in the community, whatever. A lot of these people didn't have any type of treatment plans that mapped out their goals and
That's
progress.
because how many of these people are actually getting out?
Yeah, and we're going to get into that,
Yeah.
too, because I think that part's interesting as well. And like I said, record keeping at Pennhurst was just pretty much non-existent. And then, okay, so now I'm going to talk about a few plaintiffs from the case. So Terry Lee Halderman, the original plaintiff in this action, was admitted to Pennhurst in 1966 when she was 12 years of age. During her 11 years at Pennhurst, as a result of attacks and accidents, she has lost several teeth and suffered a fractured jaw, fractured fingers, a fractured toe, and numerous lacerations, cuts, scratches, and bites. Prior to her admission at Pennhurst, Terry Lee could say "Dada," "Mama," "No," "Baba," and "Nana," and then she no longer speaks. So, like, she was
Yeah,
saying,
you blame her?
yeah.
You know what I mean? You put
Yeah.
somebody in a situation like this, you
Yeah.
blame them for not speaking?
So, like, she could say several words when she got there, and then she just stopped talking altogether at one
Yeah.
point. And then plaintiff Robert Height, born in 1965, was admitted to Pennhurst in September of 1974. He was placed on a ward with 45 other residents. His parents visited him two and a half weeks after his admission, and found that he was badly bruised, his mouth was cut, he was heavily drugged, and did not recognize his mother. On this visit, the Heights observed 25 residents walking the ward naked. Others were only partially dressed. During this short period of time, Robert had lost skills that he had possessed prior to his admission. The Heights promptly removed Robert from the institution, Mrs. Height commenting that she wouldn't leave a dog in conditions like that.
Yeah, I believe it.
And then the last plaintiff I had, and there was like several plaintiffs on the notes of this case. I just picked out like 3. So plaintiff George Serratos entered Pennhurst in 1970 at the age of 7. In the 7 years that George had been at Pennhurst, his former foster mother, Marion Caranfa, testified that in her weekly visits to Pennhurst, there have been only 4 occasions when George was not injured. During this period, he has suffered from numerous reported injuries, including bites, scratches, black eyes, loss of teeth. In addition, Mrs. Caranfa testified that she recently observed what appeared to be cigarette burns on George's chest.
Damn.
So, and I know you mentioned it earlier too, like something I didn't put in this was like the teeth situation.
Yeah. Disgusting.
Or like if people would be caught biting in this place, like this,
They just take you down and they would just yank all
rip
your freaking teeth
rip
out.
your teeth out.
Rip
Yeah.
them out.
Yeah. And then this was like what you were talking about, like getting out of this place. So there's like the illusion that this place is voluntary. So a critical part of the ruling focused on the illusion of voluntariness. Although some residents over the age of 18 were technically free to leave. So like if people were there voluntarily,
Voluntony.
when they turned 18, they were technically like just free to leave.
But
Once they
nobody
turned
ever
18.
told them that?
I think I think they weren't. I think they were told that, but like with their intellectual disabilities, like
Right.
they didn't
Yeah.
know, like, you know, they didn't understand that. And also with
Well,
just-
where's a lot of them going to go?
yeah, that too. And just with like people being there and just not talking anymore, like they're not going to communicate that anymore
Right.
because they don't talk anymore now. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So they're stuck there.
Yep.
So Pennhurst, once they turned 18, they were technically free to leave Pennhurst if they had been admitted voluntarily. In practice, many were unable to exercise this right. If a resident expressed a desire to leave, but staff believed they weren't ready to go or had nowhere to go, the staff could petition to the courts to have them committed back to the institution.
Yeah. So basically, they're screwed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because who's the court? Who's the court going to believe?
Right.
During this time. And moreover, residents who were unable to understand their options or physically unable to express their desire to leave were deemed to have consented to remain at Pennhurst. So, like, if they couldn't get that across that they wanted to leave, it was just like, it was that they consented to remain there.
Okay.
Like, if they couldn't
so
consent to leave, it was like,
if I can't tell you I want to leave, that means I just have to stay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Basically. In effect, most residents had no adequate alternatives to institutional care, which made Pennhurst their only viable option. And then just kind of going over like the conclusion of this case. Like I said, this case was kind of like one of the most impactful cases as far as
it changed
changing the
trajectory of like America, really, in a way.
Yeah.
It did away with a lot of these state schools and asylum type places.
Yeah. So as a result of this case, many state-run institutions began to close, and new policies were implemented to ensure that individuals with disabilities would have more opportunities for community living, better care, and the ability to make choices about their lives. In summary, the Halderman versus Pennhurst case highlighted the horrific conditions and abuse that residents endured at Pennhurst. From resident-on-resident violence to staff abuse, the court ruled that Pennhurst violated the 8th and 14th Amendments by subjecting residents to cruel treatment and by failing to provide adequate care and alternatives. This landmark decision was a crucial step in the fight for disability rights, leading to deinstitutionalization and ensuring that people with disabilities had the right to live in less restrictive, community-based environments.
On the episode of Destination Fear, they actually brought it wasn't a person that went to Pennhurst, but it was actually a person that went to another
similar
asylum
place
like that. And she is an advocate for basically getting these places shut down.
Yeah.
And I think there is a place in society for these places.
Yeah.
But it's just not, it shouldn't just be used for like anybody and everybody.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I think they have to be regulated better and more efficiently.
Yeah, for sure.
They need to have advocates for these people and make sure that things are being done humanely.
Totally agree.
But, that's pretty much the history of this place.
And so next episode, or is it this episode, we're going to dive into the paranormal. So next episode, we're going to dive into the paranormal of this place. And I think that this overview that Corey gave us kind of lets us understand the type of fear, the type of just like neglect, horrible deaths, all these things that culminate in a place like this that can make a place go from nothing to paranormal,
Yeah, like I think this place is just a cesspool of just the most awful things that could happen to people.
Energy, man.
Yeah.
Just bad energy just lurks over this place, and it's like a black cloud over this place. And I think when you get a black cloud like this that can just hover over a place like this for so long, from 1908 to 1987?
87, yeah. So like 79 years.
Yeah. 79 years. 80 years. We'll just say 80 years. You have 80 years straight of just like horrible, disgusting, deplorable living conditions. Just make for a perfect place for just shit to go down.
Yeah.
I always think it's like I look at this and I just think this is like a feeding ground for demons. It is.
I knew you were going to say that.
Well, of course it is, isn't it?
Oh, I agree. I agree with you.
Yeah. And like when you get, and I know there's a lot of other paranormal thought and stuff, and maybe it isn't all demonic. I don't really know, but I just think of like, if you let demons in, then you can let all kinds of other stuff into an area like this. So.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah. So, I know this was one of our more serious episodes, like we said in the beginning, but I thought that we thought that this topic needed to have that type of tone, just to like respect what happened there to those people.
For sure. Yeah.
So hopefully you guys enjoyed it, and hopefully you can understand how then we'll transition from this to like the paranormal piece.
Yep. So follow us on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram. We're back on TikTok.
We're back on
TikTok.
We're back
on TikTok. So follow us on all those platforms.
You could throw threads on there, because I have it set up now where
oh shit!
Whenever
Corey's posting on threads.
Whenever I post on Instagram, it just automatically goes to threads.
Yeah, shoot us a thread someday.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's all for us. Crack Daddy Mike, and I'm out of here.
I'm BK Corey.
BK Corey. He's the butt crack, and he's out, and he's an idiot.
Mike's dumb.
Doesn't matter. I can take it out. It's perfect. Oh!
Mike's dumb.
Corey's stupid.